I yelled at Channing Tatum through a closing elevator at Comic-Con. I was doing a bit. This is a stolen bit that I got from one of the New York Comedy Sports guys. The loading dock elevator door was closing. Backstage at Comic-Con, that's where you're going to see the famous people. It was like, because everyone's back there. It's like the tunnel that connects all of the panels. So you're just, Joss Whedon's getting flushed down the same toilet as, Stan Lee and fucking Black Widow and whoever's doing anything. So you see him. I was dressed as a bird the whole time, and then I saw Channing Tatum in a loading dock elevator, and the doors started to close. And just as they almost finished closing, I did a little elevator bit I learned from our friends in New York Comedy Sports. I ran towards the door, panicked, and said, "Soylent greatest people!" just anything really. Just elevator doors closing. Like what would make you worry? If you just had heard it.
You're assuming Channing Tatum knows that film?
I'm sure he's...
is that a safe assumption? Do we know Channing Tatum?
It's not why I did it. I did it so I could tell these people. I don't care. I bet Channing Tatum's laughing his film-loving ass off right now.
Did you get a reaction? Did he go?
No, you don't get. You eschew the reaction. Oh, you don't get the reaction.
There's no final moment when he's going up and he looks down and he goes, "Oh my God, I'll never see you again." But
it's a blind joke. You throw it. Not a blind joke for blind fans. It's a blindly offered joke.
Do you have a blind joke like for actual blind people?
This blind guy just walks into a wall, and the bartender says, "Hey, look out!" Sorry, blind people. Sorry, I called you blind people and not Jeffrey, Suzanne. You're human beings without sight. You don't need to be dehumanized like that. You're not blind people. It's weird to call.
If you were blind, you wouldn't mind being called a blind person, would you?
Well, I'm really strong of character. I'm not one of these weak blind people. They say when you lose one of your senses, you become weaker of character. I don't know if you've heard that.
He's talking to you, Jeffrey and Suzanne. You weak blind people.
Your other senses gain strength, but your character in general weakens. You become a worse person.
Would you rather be deaf or blind if you had to pick?
I think I don't want to be willy-nilly about it. Yeah, I think I would way rather be blind.
Really? You'd rather lose sight than hearing?
Yeah, and I know humans are 90% visual kind of creatures, we're these primates that need to see to function, but psychologically, we really need to be connected to each other. Deaf communities, it's much more like passionate because they're like being deaf is like really, divisive experience. It puts a bigger wall between you and the person next to you than being blind. If you're blind, that's you have this impairment and you can handle it however you want to, but you can still hear and talk to the people around you. That's deafness, especially before the internet, was like a really just isolates you. Human beings can't be isolated. It makes them feel terrible. Anyway, so I assume I wouldn't be able to suffer that very well. I need to be able to talk to people. I could do this job blind. I'm not saying, if you're listening, God, do not make me blind to prove that it's hard. I'm not questioning how hard it is. I just think that I could do a lot of the things that I enjoy doing blind.
Really?
Like then I would finally.
Oh, because you're a guy that hates sunsets and bridges and shit.
Yeah. And also, I'm always forgetting, if you're blind, this sounds like I'm doing blind jokes or something. I'm not really doing that. I'm just thinking in my head, like, if you're blind, then everyone at every party you go to, like, they have to come up and go, "Hey, Dan, it's me, Suzanne Johnson," which is something that people don't do because I can allegedly see, even though I can't recognize their fucking face. I never remember anybody. So it might, again, God, don't take this seriously in a Twilight Zone way, but it might be kind of a lucky break for me to be blind.
Because you already suffer from face blindness and other kinds of blindness.
It would make the things that make me a prick like a lot more excusable.
Yeah, because I would rather lose my hearing than my sight. Because I'm a more visual guy. I would rather see things than hear them.
Yeah.
And I'm talking straight to God. God, I fucking dare you. Strike me blind